Academy is steered by a venerable academician. He is the chairman of Children's Academy Group of Schools and leads from the front. I am in conversation with Mr. Rohan Bhat, a resolute leader whose far-sightedness is unquestionable, and talking about the policies and processes of the education department. Well, he's a pro. It's all on his tips. So welcome, Rohan sir,
Thank
to
you.
this interaction. And you have grown up in a family of educators. So what has it been like growing up in an educationist family?
Family, in terms of a regular family, is always the mother, father, and the children, siblings. But when you say educationist family, the expanded family is much larger than the actual family.
True.
Because, and especially as our childhood went, uh, we were surrounded by the teachers, by the maushis, by the peons,
Yeah.
more than we were with our parents.
True.
Because that is how our life was, and especially the first few years were very different. When Daddy started the school in 1970 in Ishwar, which is a set of basically a set of shops on the ground floor. So one of the shops had one room which the front window part was the fee department or the office kind of thing,
Oh.
and the back side of that was our 3-in-1.
Oh.
That is the kitchen, bedroom, and hall room all mixed together.
Okay.
So it was from the fee room to this, and you post a step out of that, you go to the next shop, you are into the classroom.
Okay.
So that was how it was. So we grew up in that, and definitely because we grew up in that, the conversation always used to be around this teacher or that maushi or that peon or somebody to do in that extended family. So we talked about family like everybody speaks about family, but I think my mom and dad spoke more about that family rather than their actual family. So that was how it was at that time. Of course, after that we had our own independent house first with the 1 bedroom kitchen, and then graduated to a higher. But the conversation always remained around that, okay, because that is what my dad was 100% into, and that's what he always discussed at home. So we didn't know anything else actually.
Okay.
So this is how it was in my childhood.
So talking about founder principal, late Shri V.V. Bhat, fondly called as Bhat sir, you joined the school in 1982, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
And perhaps you were still in college.
Yeah.
So as a youngster, did it ever occur to you, or did you ever think of aspire for an alternative line of profession?
Actually, it's an incident which happened due to which I came into the school. It was around the same 1982 when I was doing my 12th standard. It was a small unit, very few people working more on faith rather than working on protocols, if you
Okay.
say. So there was a clerk who misappropriated funds
Okay.
at that time. So of course it was detected after some time, and he was asked to leave, and he was the clerk. So basically there was nobody there to collect the fees. So I was just completed my 12th standard, and so I was told, you don't have any other work, whole day you roam about, so better you sit in the office and collect the fees. So that's how it came about that I started. So, and when I joined my first year BCom, I had a work, so I basically continued with that. And our college at that time, we had a day college, a morning college, and a day college. So the morning college was for students who used to work like me, and or who used to do their further studies like CA inter or something like that. So
Correct.
they had to go away before by 10 o'clock. So I was enrolled into that morning batch, and so by 10 o'clock I used to be free by quarter to 10 basically.
And then go for your
So immediately come to office by 10:30. I used to be in office. So then it became a part of my life. So I never got any chance to think over it. I just went with the flow, I think I can say. So that's how it started off.
So when did you full-fledgedly start taking classes as a teacher, and which grades did you begin with?
I started immediately after my graduation of in BCom from Chennai College. That is in 1985.
Okay.
So I was a commerce graduate because basically the idea was, I think maybe dad didn't push me into it, but I think I had no particular reason to take science, not my loved subject, neither was language my very strong subject, though I was equally good in all. But somehow maybe dad also thought that if he joins the school, we require to have proper financial knowledge, and also that's why I went into. He didn't stop me from going to a commerce college, but after that, uh, when I was already in school, I wanted to explore teaching because I have been around teachers all the time.
Correct.
So though I was in the office, but I was at the same time sitting with Mukund sir, with Hegde sir, with daddy all the time. Sundays meeting, it was a compulsory meeting kind of thing. So as soon as you get up, you go to the office and sit there with dad, Mukund sir and Hegde sir. Hegde sir used to be in and out, but dad and Mukund sir were 100% always on there on Sundays to do their future planning. So academically also I got started getting involved because of their discussion and what they wanted to do, and it went on like that. So I was told to go to the class. I think it must be in the blood. So I didn't. I think do's don'ts has must have been already gone into the system by
Absolutely.
when they spoke about who is a good teacher and why she is a good teacher and why is a certain person a bad teacher,
Correct.
what he does wrong. So I think it was all embedded unconsciously into our system.
Correct.
So I tended to be a good teacher. That's what I am still told by my ex-students. I believe they're still telling the truth. So I had a very popular. I was very popular with my students.
Okay.
So I started teaching in June 1985. I started as a math teacher
Okay.
because there was no commerce subject as such. But as I said, I was always okay in all the subjects. Never this side or that side. So I started teaching math as a subject in 5th and 6th standard at that time. So we had at that time we had morning also 5th standard, afternoon also 6th standard. All classes were in both the shifts. So morning also we used to teach and afternoon also we used to teach. So we used to teach for many hours a day, unlike a very limited number of hours which we teach now. Then 6 to 7 o'clock we used to have our classes, additional classes for weak students.
Remediation.
So basic remedial classes or whatever. So basically from morning to evening 7 o'clock we used to teach.
Correct.
So it became a part of my life.
So teaching and administration came all very naturally, and of course the bigger influence being that you were in the midst of all these stalwarts around you.
Yeah, exactly.
But as a youngster, I'm sure you had a lot of fresh ideas, plans, which you must be wanting to somewhere if you felt that this can be done in this fresh and innovative way also. Was it taken very well? Especially by Bhat?
I think so. I started off in that way. I think I started off as whatever is happening is the perfect way of doing it because school was growing in leaps and bounds.
Correct.
Everybody was happy with the school. I had just joined, so I had not even completed my B.Ed, so I didn't know the theory behind education as such. I did that much later in 1987, I think 87-88. After 2 years as an untrained teacher, and then I joined my B.Ed college to complete. So I didn't have any fresh ideas as such. I only knew that this is a good teacher and a good teacher does this.
Correct.
That's all I knew. So I didn't basically come out with any changes in the very beginning. Maybe after completing my B.Ed, after completing 3, 4, 5 years, 6 years, maybe then I started thinking about the lesson plans and how it should be, and how there is a lot of difference between one class to another class. It came as a realization much later that there are certain classes where there are very good teachers and the children are very happy, and there are a lot of complaint that this teacher is teaching like this teacher is teaching like this teacher is one class. So there were a lot of issues at that time from division to division, that
Correct.
I want to go to that division because that teacher is how she
Yeah.
teaches is much better.
True.
So at that time, it took me quite a few number of years to think whether there is a solution to this. Of course, as I said, when you do your B.Ed, you also learn so many things about the philosophy of education, where the teacher is suppose each individual teacher is to be an individual teacher. She is to come out with her own ways and his own ways of teaching.
Correct.
And what way she wants to bring it into the class and interact. It will depend on the student in the class, how well they reciprocate and how it goes forward, how good the children are also at the same time. So the same teacher teaching in one division and another division would be actually in theory a different way,
Correct.
because it depends on the students also, how they are responding to the teacher.
Correct.
But when you are practically running a school with, at that time we had A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J,
I
K
know.
classes. Okay?
Correct.
And so many more teachers than we actually have today. Of course, now it is spread over 3 schools, but it was like one principal handling so many teachers. Unlike we having so many heads now looking into so many things, where individual attention to the teachers itself can be given.
True.
So that was the missing part of it. So maybe at that time I started thinking, and then I wanted to learn something because, as I said, it was I at that time that's when the computers started coming. I wanted to learn because my other friends who are into other industry, like doing their chartered accountancy and this, and they all started wanting to do computer courses.
In fact, I
So-
was just coming to that, sir. That with so many divisions, a school of that magnitude, and each one, both of us would agree that teaching is an art, but every teacher is unique.
Yeah.
The idea is to connect with the students, but to have so many divisions, as you said, there has to be a sense of uniformity. For the head, actually,
Exactly. Yes,
there has to
yes.
be a sense of uniformity. And that's around in the year, I think in the 90s, when the school took a huge leap when Intel came to Children's Academy.
Yes, correct.
So, how did computers change life here?
Computers came much earlier, as I was just talking about it. That after I finished I started teaching. At the same time, there was a language called COBOL.
COBOL.
I think COBOL.
Yes.
I think so. Where all my friends started joining, and I didn't know. I had never seen a computer till then, but they joined, and of course, then I didn't want to be left behind. I also wanted to know what is a computer. So I joined that course, and I realized certain thing that a computer can do. So I think around 89, 88, 89, we had a parent, can't recollect his name. He was a professor of IT in KC College, Professor Bhatt.
Okay.
Professor Bhatt. She is in Kandivali West. So he was a parent of the school. So he came to me with the idea that you should computerize your mark sheet. And I said, I don't have a computer. So he said, I have a computer. So I said, great idea, let's do it. So somewhere around that, so I remember it was basic programming. It was the first computer program for mark sheet was written in basic programming.
Okay.
I remember Jayesh sir on his bike and I here at the back end. So we bought a computer, small one. I don't know the specification, but with the floppy drive and all
Okay.
those things, like small. We had a big floppy drive at that time. So we used to take the data from here to his house. We used to key the data entry here, do the data, and he used to do the programming, and that's how we started with the first year. The computer mark sheet came out in the school, it must be 89, most probably 89, most 99% it is 89. So that's how the mark sheet started printing. So it was a disaster from the beginning.
Okay.
So but it never stopped.
Okay.
It may have, I remember the first, there was no ACs at that time and all.
Yeah.
So, and he had that one computer and we had thousands of students.
Yeah.
So I don't know how we managed to put in the data entry also with that one computer, but we completed it, put it to it, and the day, just 2-3 days before the mark sheets were going to be printed, it burnt out. It got overloaded and it just burnt out. So somehow we got another one from there, and then there was another computer class which was going on somewhere where we knew. So we then took the entire data to that classes, and they had 2-3 computers, and they started keying in and we started keying in, and but mark sheet came out, computerized mark sheet, and from that time onwards it has never stopped. So that is how computerization basically started in the school.
Okay.
And then 1991, 92, 93, I think we started having our own computers and all. So there was, when computer and Mr. Samuel, some schools had just started with computer class as such. So I went to a few schools where these people were running the classes. I especially remember St. John school, that is now Universal St. John, on SV Road, Goregaon. Mr. Mirchandani was the owner of the school, very senior and very dynamic personality, and he was the first ones to start. So I went there with the Mr. Samuel, and then I liked the idea. I thought that this is possible. So we had a class of 60. So we had basically a computer lab where one computer and 3 students used to sit together. So 20 computers in one room, and 3 students, one computer for 3 students. This was how it started working. So I don't know how we managed, but we did manage. So it was a hit.
Yeah.
It went on, and children started learning computers.
Alright.
Okay, so our journey started somewhere, I think 92, 93 we must have started we had a computer class in the school.
Okay.
So it started from there, and then after that, what you spoke about, the Intel thing came in. Intel thing came in because of Wipro.
Okay.
Wipro was one of the top tech companies at that time.
Yeah.
And they had started this kind of CSR kind of thing, where their trainers were training teachers.
Okay.
In not only across India, they started that. Train the trainers or something like that was the program. Yeah, that is the program. Where basically they not only taught computers, but they also touched upon teaching methodologies and pedagogies to teachers, a revamp of that. So by that time, I had a very good idea of what is teaching and what are the problems in the school. I didn't have a solution to that, but I knew the problem at least, that these are the problems.
Yeah. So the diagnosis was
So I knew that this is, so when I went through their program, and we were one of the first ones to jump to that because we already had a computer lab. So I spoke to the teachers that I want you to learn computers. So I think there was no resistance as such.
Okay.
Everybody knew we made it, they were aware that this is the thing of our life. Okay? This is something, if whether you learn now or you become redundant.
That's true.
Of course, that time there were things like people will be out of jobs and their computers are going to take over everything and this and that. But everybody knew that computers are here for life. It's a part of our life now. Okay? So they started learning, and very quickly they understood those things. And at the same time, all this revamping or revisiting the B.Ed or whatever courses done in the B.Ed, and those things started. So which struck me as more than the computers, this is the important part.
Yeah.
Computer is one part of it, but this is the pedagogies and that is what is missing. Of course, teachers were doing a good job, but then it was all teacher oriented. Of course, to a very large extent, to a very till recently or even till now, we are still teacher oriented. It is not, but we started moving away from there at that time. We sat down when we had our discussion, because there are a lot of pedagogies which were new pedagogies which were taught, and we realized that it cannot be done in a class of 60.
Yeah.
So we identified things that can be done in a class of 60 and things that could not be done in a class of 60. So many things got introduced in that, where a class of 60 could be manageable. So the noise levels at that time, the point was that there should be pin drop silence in the class. So that is where we moved from a noiseless classroom to a noisy classroom, acceptable when the teacher is delivering the class and there is a genuine interaction going on.
Correct.
So that is where all the new pedagogies started coming in. We started thinking that, okay, this can be done, like you can have an individual debate, you can do certain things, like you may not be able to reorient our benches. It was so tight. That is, there was no way of doing it where we could have group of students, but we could work in certain ways where group of students can come out with something on the next day and do something. So these kind of things where the teachers could be doing more of questioning rather than this, so that some things we started accepting that, and that is where the flow started, that some teachers were able to do it very well, and some teachers were not able to handle it and not understand the how to go about it, at least where they didn't have the ability to question students to develop the knowledge. They had the ability to deliver the knowledge as a teacher. So that's where the idea, I think, started of making teachers have proper lesson plans. So that is another phase which started.
Empowering them also.
Yeah, empowering them to do that, and then there is all that problems which were there, good teachers, average teachers and bad teachers, and how do we average it out, and so that students get the bare minimum best that we can give. So that is how all those things started. So this is how the computer thing started, and all those things, that is how it moved.
So today Children's Academy works like a corporate. It is more structured.
Yeah.
It is on a format like an organogram.
Yeah.
What made you think that it should work like an organogram?
This came also because of our ex-student. He is now the CEO of Education World, Mr. Bhavin. So he had just entered the education world.
Okay.
Actually, he was just starting into education, and he had some touch with we had no idea of management and all this management terms and management terms which were there.
Yeah.
We were just running like any other organization,
any other school
or any other
institution.
we can say family run business. Where Rohit had also joined, and Daddy was there, and that was after Daddy passed away.
Yeah.
But we as a family were working. Rohit was working, I was working, Mona was there, Charlotte was there. So we were working along with our team, of course, and there was no defined role for anybody.
Yeah.
So he suggested that I was into discussion at that time, so I was meeting him and meeting so many other people. So he suggested that why don't you meet some management guys, so who can structure it for you. There is no proper structuring in the school. That is what he felt. He's coming from a corporate background.
True.
So I said, let me give it a try. Let me see. There is no harm in meeting people. So I met this whom he introduced. Forgotten the name of the company. Gaurav was there, but I don't know the name of the company. I've forgotten. Gaurav was definitely there. There were a few people. It was run by a very senior person from Manipal. I know that. A very, very senior person from the Manipal Education.
Okay.
So it was his management firm. I forgotten the name, but so they came in and then they understood our whole thing, and then they made us realize that we are all duplicating the same work. I am doing the same work, Rohit is also doing the same work, the principals are doing the same work. So everybody, and then each of them is giving their own version of things. So we realize that what they are telling makes sense. Okay? There should be some demarcation of somebody whom others don't interfere, so that there is a people know for this particular work where do I go and whom do I go to, and I don't require to wait from the orders from the top that everything will come from the chairman or from the, there is no chairman at that time. So or Rohan Bhat or Rohit Bhat will speak something and then it will be followed. Okay? So people had to be given their independence to take their decisions. We by God's grace, Daddy's team was very strong. So he had the best, though he did not have it as a team, but he had the best of people a school can have. So it was only identifying these people, they were already identified, but they identified what work can be allotted to whom. According to each strong points, and let them handle it completely. So I think that's from where it started flowing. And then we decided, they structured it that you require an academic board and a non-academic board. This is how the school, this is the kind of two things the school does. And according to their strengths, people were divided into the academic and that is still continuing now. People may change, but the structure is the same, and it's been working very well because people are taking their independent decision, and they are the ones who are giving out their decisions or sending it down the pyramid, so that others know that this is the right place from where we are getting the instruction. No confusion.
So, sir, we have, not long ago experienced the hapless and turbulent times of the COVID. And we all know, in fact, the people outside are raving about the fact that Children's Academy handled it fantastically. But only the people at the back end know how it was. And but I would still say Children's Academy took this challenge and turned it into an opportunity.
Exactly.
Where technology came to the forefront. But we had another concern. You had two sets of people, the newbies who were the pro computer ones, and you also had a number of old school teachers for whom handling a computer or even managing a class on a mobile phone was like a baby, like a newborn baby. So talking about these challenges at the back end, whereas we've taken it as an opportunity. How would you still elaborate on what went on or what happened exactly at the back end? If you could just elaborate on that.
I think I strongly believe that God provides, and He provides at the right time.
Correct.
So something like that happened. We were on the verge of closing and already almost on the verge, and before we were doing that, in 2019, as far as teachers are concerned, our teachers were well versed with computers because each class had a computer and a projector. So everybody was well versed with computers as such. May not be laptop or mobile, but computers, everybody was well versed. There was no problem with that. Preparing PowerPoint, this, that, there was no issue. Anybody could do it. In any of our staff member pick up would have been able to do it. That was not a concern. The concern was that people, again, new changes were coming in 2019, and I remember we were trying to cut down on the physical meetings. And we were forcing people, and the principals actually, to you also, and Sheila, and this case, stop meeting, start using. At that time it was Meet was not there, I think, but we had tried Zoom, and we had taken the license from some of our friend and trustee, Mr. Joseph. He had a Zoom license. So we had tried it and we
Yes.
saw it was not fully developed. They were in the process, Zoom was in the process of having a virtual meetings were going on, corporates were doing it. But our principals, our teachers said it is not possible. We can't share documents and do this and that. And that's where, if you can turn the camera to that machine, someone, can you do that? To this machine, yeah, the black one, yeah.
We'll take it separate.
Okay. So this is the machine which we ordered on maybe 15th of March or something around that day. So we ordered 3 of them,
Yeah.
paid 3 lakh rupees for it, and it was supposed to come. So the conference, so we were going to force our principals that
Meet virtually.
this is the best available now and you will have to switch over. No more physical meetings for small things.
Yeah, I remember.
So it came after the pandemic, because after we booked it, everything collapsed.
True.
So we were into virtual meeting at that time.
And if
So-
you recall, in the Principals Conclave in 2019, we had already
We
announced
already
that
spoke
we
about
are
it.
going to be
Yes,
a
we are going
full-fledged
to be-
technology
yes,
school in the
technology.
next 5 years.
Yeah, we did that in November 2019.
Correct.
And we told 5 years down.
We-
We didn't know 5 months down this is
Yes.
what's going to happen.
Was going to
Correct.
happen. Very true.
So, but in 5 months we did what we were supposed to do in 5 years.
Correct.
So that is what happened, and that is the time where there was a person, Mr. Amarnath,
Hmm.
who I was very hectic because all this mess, don't know, school is almost closed down, children are, we had to start teaching children 9th standard, 10th standard, children 10th standard, school has to begin again, April was the starting,
True.
and somehow we had to start the school and school had shut down. So we didn't know what to do, and we were working on multiple things. So I had told Rohit to go. He was sitting in Ashok Nagar or Asha Nagar somewhere
Yeah.
with somebody, with a set of teachers, to see how to deliver this. So we knew there is something called Zoom, but then as I said, we had already tried, but we didn't know whether it will work for so many
Correct.
students, so many
And-
teachers. We had absolutely no idea about it. So this Mr. Amarnath was pestering me for the last maybe 15-20 days that I require one meeting with you for something, some technology. He's a tech guy. And I was trying to avoid him because I had a lot of headaches and I didn't want to meet anybody new. But then literally he pleaded me that day कि I want to meet for 5 minutes, sir. I am already in Mumbai. I will meet you for 10-15 minutes and I will go away. So I said, okay, come down. And when I sat down, I was busy talking to Rohit on the phone. Vaisa try karo, video camera laga ke. They were trying to teacher talk and they were trying to record it and
Yeah.
do, and it was not going through, and all these issues, they were trying it out.
Yeah.
So he said, sir, what are you trying to do? I'm trying to deliver a class. Send something to the students to listen or learn. So he said, sir, I can do it. I can show you just now. Now, what are you going to do? So I took his iPad. He showed me in time of 2 minutes that I can have a slide and I can record for that slide whatever I want to speak. It immediately struck me. This is the solution.
Yeah.
This bandwidth of loading a teacher
Yeah.
whole lesson is just not going to work. It has to be a minimum size.
True.
So teacher need not be visible.
Yeah.
The matter has to be there. The teacher's voice has to be there to explain. So I said, close everything. Come to Malad just now. So I took him to one of the rooms, set up the thing, brought that get 5-6 teachers who are exactly tech savvy, who are tech savvy with iPads or something like that, who can easily work with that. We require an iPad, that's all. They came immediately and I told them, see what he has to say, and after an hour I'll meet you. So after an hour when I met them, they were ready with the first module. It was as simple as that. On this table, we sat down and we were able to, there was a teacher who was able, they were told to make their PPTs for each chapter.
Yeah.
So they were well versed with that. So we started off one PPT, one presentation, and the teacher speaking about it. Then the next, and we realized the ideal period is 10 minutes, 10 to 12 minutes, 15 minutes. That was because 10 minutes was the limit, because that is the free limit.
Correct.
After that it becomes a paid thing. So we didn't had anything paid at that time. So we had to complete in 10 minutes. But ironically, that 10 minutes afterwards became equal to 30 minutes of teaching time.
Correct.
So that 10 minutes and recording is what became our the one part of our teaching. That is the second phase we went to. The first phase was this, where the teacher recorded according to the PPT, and it started going to the English teachers, they started off with English. Then we brought in the other subjects, and we also then brought in art and craft, because actually April end schools were not over. So school was working. So art and craft teachers were also trained to do that.
And
So
eventually physical education, yoga,
that was all went happening
everything
later. Everything
followed.
went on. Then,
Everything followed.
because then we were able to do the live recording also. Then we learned that technique also, that this can be done.
I'm sure when you look back, it must be giving you goosebumps today,
Yes,
because
of
it
course,
was a
of course.
historic moment.
Yeah, it was a historic moment. But that time what happened is then that is the time when of course Zoom and these people started working, and we immediately purchased 3 iPads. So just before things closed down completely, the iPads reached the school.
Correct.
So we had, all 3 schools had an iPad to work on. But then that is where the parents' feedback started coming, that you are sending children, those who are interested are learning, but those who are not interested are not even paying attention to it. So we realized that if the teacher is not visible, then it doesn't work. So we had our brainstorming session. Ronit, thankfully again, Ronit was very tech savvy. So he was given the responsibility of searching what to do. So again, Jaisal at that time, I said sometimes God provides for everything for you. You don't have to do anything basically. So when Jaisal was there as our branding manager, she had registered our school as a Google account.
Oh.
So we had Gmail account for all our schools, all our students. They were allowing it. We didn't use it.
Yeah.
So creating Gmail accounts for each of them became a child's play for Ronit, because everything was already there.
9,000 students.
All 9,000 students, they said, okay, go ahead, generate it, we have no problem.
Yeah.
So of course we had to sign some papers, documents and all, but we got that also. So by that time, Ronit learnt about Google Meet and Google Classroom. Google came out with that very crude version of it. But there was a Google Classroom, and we were able to take our students directly to that Google Classroom. So during that time, all these things were simultaneously happening, and there was a simultaneous discussion with Rohit leading the teachers development team. And I had my discussion with him, and some other staff members were also there, I think maybe Sheila or somebody may be there. So where we discussed that this is an issue that is going to be issue for everybody. We discussed almost all the problems that can come up. So one of the discussions we had is that who has the bandwidth? Whether everybody will have the bandwidth to have a live classroom. Zoom to karenge. Then who has the computers?
Correct.
Whether they have the laptops, computers where they can live watch the teacher. So again, that is a problem. Third, as parents are telling, teachers are not
See.
visible, they are not visible, they are not paying attention. So children should be visible to the teacher. So then what is it that would attract a child to make him study? Why would he want to get up in the morning and sit in front of his computer? So we discussed all these points. Why? So we went back to the basic. I gave them one instruction is that use all your senses of the child.
Yeah.
The more senses you use, the more engaged the child is. If our problem is that child is watching and listening, but is not doing anything else.
Correct.
The minute you engage him to do something, then he will think, he will move, he will write. So that is the basic guideline given to the teachers, that engage the child with as many senses as possible in each class. So that is where we came out, where the teacher would stop, pause, ask a particular student to give the reply. So that now he's aware that I am being called out. I will be called out at random and I am supposed to speak or talk about it. So I have to pay attention. Then there is where we started to tell that pause, write. Now there was a problem. If I am pausing, writing, where is the worksheet? Where is the pencil? Where is the pen? Stationery shops have closed. We can get it somewhere. Some things, maybe pen or pencil they may have, but if you want them to write in a particular thing, then what? So then that idea of why not use our people, drivers, conductor, now she's sitting at home, no job, anyway being paid by the school.
Correct.
So send them as couriers.
Correct.
So we started off with them. Of course, we went to professional couriers later on, but we started off with them going to each house and delivering to all the 9,000 students. We started delivering worksheets, so and things that child may require, like a craft paper or drawing sheet or something which would not be available in a shop because shops were closed, but we were able to get in bulk quantities from somewhere, some supplier who has had the bulk quantities with them, and deliver it to us, and we used to pack it, print it and send it. So that is how it all happened. So, and that basic, going back to basic helped us. And the teachers, a lot of training, about it, and whole of month of May, the structuring we did for the training also went on well. The trainers train the other trainers, and the other trainers trains. When each teacher become a student, 5 teachers become a student, 1 become teacher. Each teacher then becomes a student, and each student then becomes a teacher there. So that practice in the month of May, June,
we were ready.
Back with a bang.
Absolutely.
That is where all the criticism and people's fear and everything got over, and the quality kept on improving because the team of people looking at it, they were very proactive, and they understood that children have to be engaged with something new. So new apps were taught to the teacher on a regular basis. So almost, I think, every 3 months the app used to change. The activity used to remain the same, but the app used to change. So new something, doing the same thing in a new way. So children would be again get engaged because something new has come. So all these things moved, and of course background, lot of work. We did 25,000 lesson modules, completely new at that time. So teachers were working for almost 10 to 12 hours a day is what they used to put in. Myself, Rohit, you, Sheila, everybody working at least 10 to 12 hours a day because lot of reading. Okay, we had to make sure, because this is the first time the class went to the house of the child. The teacher reached the house. So that is where people realized that teachers of Children's Academy, and the buzzword before was Children's Academy is a good school. It changed afterwards to Children's Academy teachers are a different set of teachers. So that sentence changed only during the pandemic, when the teacher entered and people realized that this teacher is different from the other teachers that we see on other schools. So that is where people started looking at teachers. When we used to always tell them, they never really bothered. But They realized it there, and that is where the bus, yes, teachers of Children's Academy are different. Children's Academy is not different.
Yeah.
So that is how it happened.
So, sir, as you talk, I can already draw parallels. There was a time, as I have heard, when Bhat sir used to go door to door, telling children, telling parents to come and join school.
Yeah, yeah.
And today, you almost did the same thing when you decided that education of a child should not stop, and you made sure that all the written matter, all the content was reaching. Education would not stop at any cost.
Yeah.
So, what was to come 5 years later came in 5 months. And boy, what a difference we made in education, that even the schools around us were envious of us. Yeah. I can say that. So today we are at Children's Academy group of schools, but we started with Children's Academy. Today we have seen a sea change. If you were to talk about infrastructure, we are a class apart. Our teachers are superb, fantastic, as you just said. They have made a difference in the way education should be taken up. Also technology, we are one of the best. We are trending and we are progressive. But we moved from Children's Academy to Children's Academy group of school, a long journey. So in a nutshell, would you like to talk about this journey of CA to CAGS?
Well, it was, I used to be embarrassed to call it Children's Academy group of schools till recently, because when we talk about groups, we talk about 50 schools, 60 schools, 100 schools, and we are just 3. So I was always telling them, do we really require to call it group? So again, it was Bhavin who insisted that 3 is a group. Yeah. If 30 is a group, 3 is also a group. So you require to brand yourself accordingly. Yeah. So it makes a difference how you present yourself. So these are all corporate people who taught us and our ex-students and this, that you require to also, you do a good work, but you have to announce to the world. Today the world is different. You require to announce yourself to the world. Yeah. So that's why the Education World magazine, the Education World Awards, Bhavin himself believed in the school as
a former student.
As a student, then he put his child in it. He refused to leave from Malad 1-2 bedroom house for so many years because he didn't want his child to go to. As soon as his 10 standards were, Bhavin has moved to a much bigger house. It's in a much this, but he didn't want to move from here because he wanted his child to be here. So they are one of the few of the people who talked about being a group of schools, but Daddy had already done that work. Actually, we have not done anything additional. Children's Academy Malad was of course his baby. Children's Academy Ashok Nagar was also completely his baby as far as the building and all is concerned. Of course, as far as the paperwork and all those things were concerned, that was my baby in that. Mm-hmm. And Children's Academy Thakur Complex is the 2001 when he passed away. He had already purchased, we had already sat on the plans and he had discussed the plans a lot. This room will go here and there and this and all these things. Of course, we didn't have the vision that we are going to have a ICSE school or something like that at that time. We just wanted big airy classrooms as a standard classroom should be. So that is what was discussed. So he had seen the plan. That was also his baby, I can say. We may have done the construction work after he passed away, but basically he had already done this. So once Children's Academy Thakur Complex was fully up, then as I said, people started calling it, or people forced me to talk about it as Children's Academy group of schools, and then we accepted it is okay, yes, let's go ahead as Children's Academy group of schools. Okay? Mm-hmm. That is how the journey went. The journey is not only to that extent, journey has been like
from the most simple things to something which is very so could you mention, I mean, I'm sure that those moments are close to your heart, something where you see a sea change today.
Everything has changed. If you see, I remember teaching in this very place where there was no building. There was a chawl kind of thing, which I think is visible on the photographs there. Maybe it can be added somewhere. So the chawl kind of thing which were there. And in summer, I remember some of the children's face even now. There's, who are actually fair and plump.
They would become red.
I remember especially this one, Bijal Sangvi. I can even today remember his face, red like a tomato, fat, stout fellow, and that full hot sun, and that fan bringing actually that asbestos sheet, the fan throwing the heat down rather than removing the heat from the room. So it has moved from there. Then there was this building construction which started. I have taught in this very room. There was this room, no, not this room, the other room, the corner one, where this is there, our infirmary is there. So there was a classroom where there, and the pillar in that classroom was coming right in between the class. And the pillar is to be there, and we used to teach around that pillar because that structure was as it is, and the construction had started, but there was no other place. So maybe in the vacation the pillar was ready, but building was not ready. So through the roof the pillar used to go, and we used to teach below, and the construction used to happen above. So that's how it moved. So from a Kota stone to today granamato or granite tiles, and this has been a long journey. Everything has changed. So I remember of course all those things. Even a small thing like you know how cyclostyling was done. I'm sure you must never have seen it. There used to be a cyclostyling special kind of cyclostyling sheet which used to come. So it used to be typed. So it had a carbon paper behind it. So that you have to type on that sheet on the typewriter, and it would create an impression on that. And the typing actually would come on the carbon and the paper behind for to read if there are any mistakes. So that is how the typing used to be done. Then that sheet used to be removed from that typewriter. It used to have a lot of holes. And then the first machine I remember is where it was like a box. So that cyclostyling, that paper used to be stuck on that in that box. And then we used to put the ink on that. And then we used to rub the roller on that. So then each paper, one paper, then you open it, then you remove that paper, then you put another paper. Then you take out that paper, then you put so that's how the cyclostyling started. Of course, I'm talking about maybe 1980, not 1980, 1974, 75. So around that time, maybe 72, 73, it must have been there. I was too small, maybe. I don't know if anything was there before that. But I remember 4th standard, 5th standard, 6th standard when I was there. So I used to be a part of that process. To take the paper, put it here, and take the paper, put it here, and then give another paper. So again somebody used to rub, and then it slowly the cyclostyling gas straightener machines started coming. So that similar, and that technology is same, but was the same, where that cyclostyling paper used to be put on that, but it used to be manually just moved. So it used to take 1 paper, 2 paper, 3 paper. So I didn't have to take out the paper every now and then. So then we started to that. Then the electric one came, and now we use the risograph, which are a little different technology. We don't have it works on the similar thing, but we don't get our hand dirty. Otherwise, so it would be fully black.
So what about timetables? I remember a huge sheet of handwritten paper.
Yes. I think
how was that
timetable was something. There was no vacation for me and Mukund sir and Hegde sir. Maybe 5-10 days they used to go and come back. We had that 5-7 days only. Because May was the month we used to prepare the timetable. So across so many divisions, so many teachers, we were having a huge, like this, used to sit with long sheets like this, stuck one after the other. So, suppose teacher wise, and the other person used to do class wise. So, here Mukund sir, Hegde sir, Roilar, everybody, and there 5th A, 6th A, 10th A, 10th B, 10th C, 10th D. So, we used to work, okay, let us take Hegde sir. Hegde sir has to be allotted English 10th B, C, and geography, history, geography 9th A, B, C. So, the other person used to write in Monday, 3rd period, English in under the this, and he used to write under Hegde sir, Monday 3rd period English 10th A. Then 10th A they used to write Hegde sir English.
So when did you see this change then?
It came also with computers.
Okay.
There was an Indore based company at that time. It started maybe again 1990s, I can't remember. Somewhere in the 1990s, maybe 95, 96, 97, somewhere around that. So they came out with a timetable software at that time. So that was the first software we started, and it solved 80% of our problems.
I'm sure.
So when Mukund sir and Hegde sir used to come, I used to finish 80% of the work and give it. I used to print everything used to be printed and stuck now. By that time everything is ready, class wise everything is ready. Now the question was only to do that 20% work where some juggling would have to be done. So 80% of the work went off. So we were able to do what took us 1 month, and because the work was so strenuous, you couldn't work for more than 3 to 4 hours on a timetable. You are bound to make mistakes. It would lead to mistakes. Because something I have to rub here, if the other person's rubbed the wrong thing, it is, and there used to be a lot of problems. Used to be last minute, there used to be problems after doing, however careful you are.
Correct.
But with this 80% of the problem went away. And then of course ASC timetable came in the 2000s and all, which is almost 100% okay. So now you change timetable almost every week and you don't know it.
Sometimes
for us, that 1 month used to be a dreaded month,
I'm sure.
where we has to work on that timetable.
So if you see in the physical sense, a lot has changed. Lot has changed in
the
Children's
physical,
Academy. But what hasn't changed is the ethos and essence of Children's Academy group of schools, thanks to the esteemed Bhat family, which has maintained the legacy throughout. Sir, what are your hopes and dreams for the school, let's say in the next 50 years?
I never had any dreams. I think I went with the flow. My basic idea is you do your work well, something new keeps on coming, keep learning, keep meeting people, keep going out. You will see new things coming. You embrace some, you discard some. It works. So we had, of course, because we have our plans that from 2019 we have been trying to open the school at Thane, which somehow did not materialize so far. Today it has gone again one step ahead. God willing, again 2024 June, we now look at a possibility that 2024 June we will have one more school. I am not very keen that our next generation should look at expanding in numbers. I would be happier as we are today. Like someone once quoted to me from, I think, Bhavin or somebody from that group only, that there are schools with 100 schools. So, like, somebody told me is that you have to look it like this, sir, that one school of yours against 50 school of theirs.
Absolutely.
You are still better known and you are still more demanded than that 50 schools all put together.
Says it all.
So it is not the number game for us. If it is manageable, it has to remain manageable. I don't want it to become a corporate entity where the top management is not in touch with the staff, not in touch with the teachers, with the students, with the parents, in some way at least. Of course, I don't know all the 450 staff members I have today,
Yeah.
but I still have some kind of connect with them.
Yeah.
I may meet them at least for a meeting, even in the Bai, Baushi, conductors, drivers. At least one meeting, I go with them, I talk to them, what is my expectations from them. So they see me talking to them as a regular, as a you or the heads may speak,
Correct.
see me speaking.
Yeah.
I want that connect at least to remain. One of the members of our team or the top members or at least the family members should be there for every big function or program where the parents are there,
Undoubtedly.
where we speak our heart to them
Yeah.
as a management.
Correct.
So if you go to 100 schools, of course schools will go on because you will have a very robust structure in place if you want to run 100 schools.
Yeah.
But nobody would know you as, you're not synonymous as your school.
Perhaps
Today Bhat family is synonymous with Children's Academy,
Academy.
or Children's Academy the other way around,
Correct.
is Bhat family. So I would like that to remain. So I'm not looking that they should open 100 schools, but of course the family is bigger. There are more people available. So few more schools, yes, we are doing a good job. So we have today 3 schools. I was just checking. We have got around from junior KG to 8th standard, where we are taking the online registration for admissions. This also started during the pandemic because we were not able to meet. So
Correct.
we didn't know the demand of Children's Academy because people used to go away from the gate. We used to put a board, admissions not available, please don't disturb us, and that's it. Okay? If they came inside, some clerk would give them some reason and send them off, and nobody used to come, and we never used to take registration or give the admission form, knowing very well that it is of no use, we don't have a seat. So we never did it. But then online came and people had to have some access where they wanted to tell that I want to take admission. So we started with this online thing at that time in 2021, and where the numbers are mind-boggling.
I'm sure.
I was just checking yesterday because I had a pressure case from some MLA, MP. So I was just looking at that online registration. Forget the breakup, I think, but across the 3 schools, from nursery is of course not a part of the admission system because it is taken separately. Junior KG onwards is the class where we have the class already, so we can take in 2, 3, 4 cases in the entire school across a class against the LCs. So from junior KG to 8th standard is where we usually take the admission and the people ask for admission. So we have a total strength of 8,000 students now. The wait list as on today is roughly around 4,000 students.
Oh boy.
And this is not today's number. Even last year, every year the number is, the whole data is deleted, not deleted, but put into the archives. And a new data has to be, new people have to, again if they are not got. So out of this 4,000 students on the wait list, the maximum admission that happen is approximately around 150 to 200 in a year out of these numbers. Forget the nursery because I said apart from the nursery.
This is across the 3 schools?
Across the 3 schools. Of course, Thakur complex is the biggest, Malad is the least, and somewhere in between is Ashok Nagar. I think they are going to put the data in the time capsule. So maybe it will be available. So I was just looking at the figures. So this is the kind of numbers that we are having where people waiting to get admission. So it's as long as it is possible for the family, I would want them to start a couple of schools, and if people are happy with something which we are doing, maybe replicate it to a certain extent. I know the minute it goes out of hand, it becomes unmanageable.
Correct.
The quality will start dipping. Correct. This is how I feel. So I feel that is how it should be. I would like them to start new schools, but not at the cost of the quality.
So you call them numbers, and I would call it honesty, I would call it sincerity, I would call it fame, I would call it creditability.
Yeah, possible.
So one last word for the budding teachers who are aspiring to be, join this profession.
More than the teachers, I meet the owners actually. So, but of course,
But you've grown from a teacher.
Yeah, I've grown from a
so
teacher.
If
So
you could
I
just give some
yeah,
words of wisdom.
What I can say is, basically, it is the philosophy of life, whether it is individual or an organization. And our philosophy is keep it simple.
Absolutely.
Remain rooted to the basics. Whatever changes, the basics will remain. So if you are a teacher, your competency, subject competency remains. No amount of technology or anything else that you do is going to replace that. So whether if you are an owner of the school, it is the same thing. If I say, the basic things are the things that children need to be guided, educated. You require a good staff, you require good people, you require to train your people, you require to train yourself. Basic things are not going to change. So there is a lot of things that people are more interested in today. Like the teacher is interested in a lot of technology. I can show this, I can show that. You can show that, but if you want to be a good teacher, showing it is nothing but instead of you speaking, somebody else is speaking. So basically, you are still teacher centric. If you want to be a good teacher, you should be able to do minimum talk, maximum the children. It should come out from the children. You should be able to develop their skills as you walk along. Not only their skills like collaboration or conversation or communication or critical thinking, or not only these skills, but also other skills which have to be taught along with that. Even the values has to go. This giving knowledge is different from educating. When you are educating a child, it is not the transferring of your knowledge to the child. There is a lot of other things that go with that. So basically, whatever you are, whether you are a teacher, owner, you have to know the basics and get the basics correct. So this is what my advice would be, that be well prepared when you go to the class. Keep abreast with what is the latest things the children. You should know before you transfer it to the child. So you should be completely updating yourself all the time. You should be ready to embrace change as it comes. You just can't run away from it. So this is what my advice would be, that you are going to touch a life when you decide to become a teacher. It is not any other profession. You want to become a teacher, you know that you are going to touch lives. So become a teacher only when you are ready to do that. Otherwise, don't become. That's what I would say.
So that's Mr. Rohan Bhat, the man with a heart of gold, firm, focused, and a passionate educator, raring to touch lives and ensuring that quality education reaches every student. He has truly lived up to the vision of Children's Academy. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for the ethos and essence of Children's Academy. Keep it on. And I'm sure you're going to bring in too many laurels to add to the feathers, add to the hat, which is already loaded with too many feathers. Thank you so much.
Thank
It was
you.
a pleasure to converse.
Thank
with
you.